Welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Smith, and today very excited to dive into a list video as the very first video of 2025. So I want to wish everybody a happy new year if you haven't heard that from me already. But I'm excited for this video because I've actually never done this before, and I think it's going to be quite fun as a look back video, and it also serves as a way to point out games that have transitioned from what I would deem as a board game release that has potential hype behind it when it originally releases in a given year to an evergreen status. In other words, a point where there's enough plays and enough logged plays from the solo community for us to justify the fact that this game is going to be staying around and sticking around because it's in the upper tier of all the games that were released in a given year. And so when I put out the top 20 solo games of 2023, this was the top 20 list. So when I did at the tail end of 2024, giving everybody a full year to play all those games, I re-asked the question, where do these games sit? And not just the games in the top 20. I asked about all the games that were released with a solo capacity through 2023. Let's revise that top 20 list and take a look at it yet again and see how things have actually shifted and changed. That, I think, is going to give a much clearer picture of the top 20 solo games of 2023 rather than more of a point in time list, which serves a purpose, but maybe not a long-term purpose. And, inside the window of December and January of any given year, there's always a slew of lists coming out. I just put my own out for 2024, and it's a pretty good look at the top 20 games for that given year. But as we all know, give it another 8 months or so for everybody to get all their games, for everybody to kind of get through a chunk of the material of the game, and their opinions are going to start to change. And of course, that's going to make the list change. So that's kind of where we're coming back to 2023 in this video to find out which games are evergreen from 2023. A huge thank you to the solo community for providing your feedback on this list. In the 20th position of the top 20 evergreen solo games of 2023 is Halls of Hegra. Now, as I go through the list, if there's any of these games on the list that you are interested in, definitely check out in the video description and pinned comment the top 20 solo games of 2023 video as I talk about each game individually through there. Now, there might be a couple that are no longer on this list anymore that have changed because they've been knocked out completely, or maybe some new entries have come in, but that's exactly what we're going to talk about next. So this entry right here for Halls of Hegra, this one has actually dropped from where it was originally in the top 20, and it dropped by 4 positions. It's still within the top 20, but just hanging on. Moving along to the 19th position for the Evergreen Solo Games of 2023, we have Deliverance, a brand new entry on the list, was not in the top 20 prior, and so I've got a symbol there next to the arrow pointing up to let you know that it didn't positionally change anything inside of the top 20. It did, of course, move from a position of the 20th to the 30th in terms of the games. It was somewhere in that window, I believe, kind of in the mid-20s, and it moved into the 19th position, so it bumped something else out. We're going to talk later at the end of the video about the games that actually got bumped out of this list because that's of interest as well. Again, if it gets bumped out, it typically got bumped back into the 20 to 30 category, which is still fantastic when you think of the hundreds of games that have released in a given year. The 18th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to Astro Knights from Indie Board and Cards, and this one actually remains in the exact same position that it was voted on originally, so no change whatsoever for this one. The 17th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to Apiary. This one comes from Stonemaier Games, and it actually dropped down 2 positions from where it was. It was originally sitting in the 15th position. The 16th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to Kinfire Chronicles Night's Fall. This one is a new entry on the list as well, climbing way up to the 16th position. The 15th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to Distilled, and this one actually dropped positions on the original top 20 list. 7, in fact. It originally was in the 8th position. The 14th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to Sky Tier Horde, and this one also made lots of movement inside the top 20. Instead of going downwards, it trended upwards a lot. 6 positions. It originally was in the 20th position and jumped to the 14th. The 13th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to Hoplomachus Remastered and Victorum. These two things came out of the exact same time frame, and they did have a positional change on the list. They dropped 4 positions. They were originally sitting at 9. We move on to the 12th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023, and it belongs to the Castles of Burgundy, the special edition. And this one also dropped positions on the original top 20 list. It dropped down by 6 positions. So it originally was sitting at a number 6 on the list. We move to the 11th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023, which belongs to Dune Imperium Uprising. This one trending upwards, not surprisingly, by 3 positions. It originally was in the 14th position. At this point, we are halfway through the community's top 20 Evergreen Solo Games of 2023, so I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below, especially about the positional changes that you've seen so far. Are any of these shocking to you? Maybe some of the new entries into the list are shocking to you, or maybe something dropping down as far as 7 positions like Distilled or potentially Hoplomachus or Castles of Burgundy dropping down maybe surprise you. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you agree with and which ones you actually disagree with. Would love to hear your thoughts around this, and that's really what I wanted to create this video about, was not only to revise the list and give you a better version of the top 20 from 2023, but also tell you some games that have stuck around. They have the staying power to really be evergreen in the future. So we're going to dive right into number 10 and find out what it is. The number 10 Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to Legacy of You. This one dropping down, actually quite substantially, dropping 6 positions. It originally was in the 4th position on the list. The 9th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 is The Witcher Old World. This one actually moving up, but only by 1 space. It originally was in the 10th position, and it just creeped up to the 9th. The number 8 Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 is Tamashii Chronicle of Ascend. I'm actually really excited to see the change in this one as it creeped up 4 positions, becoming even more popular with the solo community over the year. It's now in the 8th position. It originally was in the 12th. The 7th Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to Marvel Zombies, a Zombicide game. This one actually dropping down 2 positions from its original position at number 5. The number 6 Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 is Earthborn Rangers. This one going up some positions, 2 in fact. It actually was sitting in the 8th position. It's moving on up. We've now reached top 5 territory, and in the 5th position, it's Sleeping Gods Distant Skies, and this is actually a new entry on this 20 list, and that's because when the original one went up for 2023, this game was just delivering at the tail end of the year, and most people hadn't even gotten it yet, so it wasn't an entry at the time. It was just an honorable mention, but thanks to this revised list, which is one of the reasons why I love doing things like this, so you can get a more correct version of the top 20, Sleeping Gods has its position now for solo gamers in the number 5 slot. The number 4 Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 easily belongs to Voidfall, and this one creeped way up the charts. It jumped dramatically from its original position. It was sitting at 11 before, just outside the top 10 even. Now it's in the 4th position. We're now in top 3 territory, and in the 3rd position of the Evergreen Solo Games of 2023, we've got 20 strong. This one comes from Chip Theory Games and has made a positional change of just 1. It dropped down 1 spot. There wasn't a ton of change in the top 3, but there was some. Now for the number 2 Evergreen Solo Game of 2023, and it's another from Chip Theory Games, actually. It's Too Many Bones Unbreakable. This one and 20 strong, basically flipping positions from 2nd to 3rd and 3rd to 2nd. In the number 1 position, the top Evergreen Solo Game of 2023 belongs to the Isofarian Guard. This one not changing positions whatsoever. The only other game on this entire top 20 list to not change positions, as you can see, is Astro Knights. So a huge congratulations to all the games that landed on this top 20 Evergreen Solo Games list from the community. This is now the revised list for 2023, and this is much truer to what the community is thinking after over a year of logged play with these games, and this gives a much better view of that particular year. We'll be doing the exact same thing with 2024 in a year's time. So now that you can see the entire top 20 list and you can see the positional changes that occurred, let me know in the comments down below what you think about everything that you're seeing here. Would love to hear the discussion begin around this stuff. Maybe some discussion around why certain ones dropped down, why other ones jumped further up, why there were positional changes. There's a lot to dig into here. And of course, we're not going to know all the reasoning behind these positional changes, but they do start to tell a different story than the original list, and it's very cool to see that unfold. I think one of the things that was most interesting for me personally was seeing that the top three remained pretty much intact. I mean, beyond just a quick positional change, those three remained exactly where they were. Most of the positional changes that were large took place from everything underneath the top three, which I found very interesting. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I was going to mention the games that actually were on the original list in the top 20, but then fell out, of course, because as things start to move and change on this list here, certain games weren't able to stay where they were positionally and fell outside the top 20. So let's talk about the ones that are no longer a part. On the original list, we had Sky Tier Horde in the 20th position. In the 19th position was Unmatched Adventures Tales to Amaze. That one fell outside the top 20. 18th position was Astro Knights. 17th was Earth. Earth fell outside the list. Halls of Hegra was also on the list at 16. Apiary was 15. Dune Imperium Uprising 14. Expeditions was at 13. That one fell completely off the list as well. Tamashi was at 12. Voidfall at 11. The Witcher Old World at 10. Hoplomachus at 9. Distilled at 8. Earthborn Rangers at 7. Castles of Burgundy 6. Marvel Zombies 5. Legacy of You 4. Too Many Bones Unbreakable 3, and 20 Strong at 2, and the Isofarian Guard at 1. So only a couple games fell off the list, but now you know which ones they were. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up the top 20 Evergreen Solo Games of 2023 by the Rolling Solo board game community. Thank you guys so much for your votes throughout December to be able to make this even possible, to be able to look back at a prior year's list and be able to tweak it to be more accurate for you guys. I hope this is really beneficial for you, and I'll certainly be doing this with the most recently released top 20 from 24 in a year's time. We'll come back and take a look at things. Of course, some games get delivered right in December, right when these top 20 videos start being produced and created into January. And so they don't get as much time to really dig in. Voidfall on this list was a great example of that. Sleeping Gods Distant Skies, great example of that. But you can see how much of a change on the charts they made in just a year's time. So I think there's a lot of value in these lists, and I really hope you guys do too. Thank you guys for watching. If you've never subscribed to the channel before and you want to find more solo games, you might be interested, because even though these are the top 20 solo games of a given year, they may not all fit your likes and dislikes, but you should be able to find hopefully at least one game in this list that's of interest to you. So thanks again for watching, and as always, keep on rolling solo.